Okay, class, so I welcome you back to another important lecture. And in the previous classes, in context of the sense organ, we have looked at how come the different structures of the ISA look like. But I did not tell you that how come the three different layers that we have in the eye, inclusive of the sclera and the choroid and the retina, how come they would adapt our eye to be performing their function. And so for today's lecture, we would specifically see that how come the sclera that we have, which is outermost layer of the eye, and the choroid that we have got, which is the middle layer of the eye, they would be assessing the eye structure in context of the vision sense that we have. For all those who have missed my previous class, I would be recalling those structures for once again, and then I would take you into the explanation of each and every structure. So fundamentally, what we need to be remembering here was that my eyes actually is made up of three major layers. On the outside, we have the sclera, then the middle layer that we have got in case of the eye. So this would be referred to as the choroid layer, and the third innermost photosensitive layer of the eye that we have with us. So this would be entitled as the retina, we say. Now, the first situation is that all of the eye on the outside is covered by this transparent layer that we have with us. So this was conjunctiva. When I further proceeded from this thing, so here I told you that this is the sclera, which is the white part of the eye, and the sclera at the front is bulged out, and this bulged part of the sclera is what we were referring to this as the cornea. Then further I said that this second layer of the eye that we have got and in the middle or in at the second layer of the eye, so this was choroid, and this choroid would bulge or this would kind of bend behind the cornea, and here we had two bands of the muscle. This band of the muscle that we had with us, so this was the ciliary body, this again was the ciliary body or the ciliary muscles. Out of the ciliary body or the ciliary muscles, what we learned was that there would be these suspensory ligaments emerging out, and these suspensory ligaments they would be attaching themselves to this lens, and this lens was a convex lens. And at the front of the choroid, now here we have got another band of the muscle here. And this band of the muscle, if you remember, I called this as an iris. Then in the center of the iris, we had this opening, and this opening was what we were referring to this as the pupil of the eyes. Then between the cornea and the pupil of the eye, we had this cavity here, and this was referred to as the aqueous humor. And then there was the second cavity of the eye that is lying in between the retina that we have and the lens we have. So this was made up of or is referred to as the vitreous humor because this has jelly-like consistency. When we came on toward the inside, so here you see we had this retina with us, and this retina had this tip in it, and this tip would be termed as the fovea. Now, this is the optic nerve that we have with us, and this would carry the electrical impulses from the retina of the eye to your brain, and the point where this optic nerve is entering into the retina. So, we have this blind spot with us, and this blind spot is also, in other words, is called as the yellow spot. And this is blind spot for a reason because we would not have any of the photosensitive cells in it that are the cones and the rods that usually lies within the retina. So now I will take you to the explanation of each and every structure that we have looked above. And we have this conjunctiva, and this conjunctiva, as I have said earlier, that this is a transparent layer and this is covering the entire surface of the eye. So this is the conjunctiva, and the conjunctiva rule is that this would cover the entire surface of the eye, and this also has got a role in bending the light rays that intend to enter in on the inside of your eye. Then further, I said that as far as the sclera is concerned, so this is the outermost layer of the eye, and if you were to see it again here, so this is the sclera, and the sclera entirely is not circular, but rather than this is getting bulged at the front. So the white part of the eye, like this white part, is only the you could say sclera, and the outer bulge part that lies here that you basically see here. So that would be the cornea with me. So if I were to be taking you to the explanation of this, so sclera, this is written here, so this is the first outer layer of the eye, and this is actually the white fibrous layer. and the outer bulge part that we have for the sclera. So this I was referring to this as cornea, and the cornea would bend the light rays. And for the sclera overall, we say that since this is a white fibrous part of the eye, so it would provide the protection to the internal structures of the eye. Then moving onward, I took you to the second layer of the eye, and this was the choroid. So you would say that this is the middle layer of the eye, and it has got two bands of the muscles. Like the first band of the muscle that we had in this choroid, so this was the ciliary body to which the suspensory ligaments were attached, and then we have got this convex lens with us, and the other band of the muscles that we have here in the choroid, so they were the irises, and these irises they have an opening in between them, and this was the pupil with us. So this is the same way written that the iris that we have, so this is lying at the front, anteriorly mean at the front, and this would have an opening at the center, and that is the pupil. And the ciliary body that we have, so this is lying posteriorly at the back side. And this has got the suspensory ligaments in it, and they are attached to this convex lens. So actually, these ciliary body or the ciliary muscles, they have the attachment to the lens with the help of these suspensory ligaments. Now, if someone was to ask you that what function this choroid is rendering, so this has the blood capillaries in it, and that will transport the nutrients and oxygen gas to the eye internal structure because they are living. And the other thing is that this choroid that we have as a middle layer of the eye, so this is pigmented black. And when this becomes pigmented black, so this would, you could say, prevent the internal reflection of the eye. So that means that if the light rays they get disturbed and they are reflected this way, so ultimately this would be absorbed by the black pigment that we have in the choroid, we say. So now I hope that these first two outer layer of the eye, inclusive of the sclera and the choroid, would make sense to all of you. And in our next class, we would be looking on toward the innermost photosensitive layer of the eye, that is the retina, and we will try to see that how come the cones and the rods they are arranged, and how possibly this retina, the innermost layer that we have in the eye, it would be responsible for the image formation. So see you for the next class.